And the only thing hotter than the temperatures on the East Coast this week may be the success that the JMU football staff is having on the recruiting trail. And that continued on Sunday evening as the Dukes added the newest member to the class of 2026. And it's Matthew Jones, a linebacker from the Haverford School in Haverford, Pennsylvania. And he joins us now here on JMU Sound Off for the latest in our Commitment Spotlight series. And Matt, first of all, congratulations. Welcome to the JMU football family. I'm curious from your perspective, because from an outsider, somebody who covers this team, the pace of the commits has been crazy to see. How exciting for you is it to join this incredible class of talent that's coming now from across the East Coast, signing on to play for JMU football?
Well, first off, thank you. I'm excited to be part of the team. But yeah, following the commitments, before me, seeing this these stacked recruits on both sides of the ball is definitely making exciting, and the trajectory of the team for the future definitely made it something I want to be a part of. So seeing that and seeing the guys though that they were going to bring on if I didn't hop on was definitely made it competitive. So I'm excited with my decision, and I'm ready.
So I used to work in Army public affairs, so I know a little thing or two about the service academies. And seeing that you have offers from Army and Navy as a part of the offers that have come into you as a recruit says a lot about your character. It says that you're an incredibly well-rounded person. Talk to not only your ability on the football field, but obviously you focus in the classroom. Being a well-rounded prospect is a part of who you are, and how that played into your decision to sign on ultimately with JMU football as a program that can not only offer a tremendous football experience, but a great academic offering as well.
Right. My school now, the Harvard School, very prestigious. They were kind of the school once I transferred in sophomore year that really emphasized how important education was. And before then, I really wasn't taking it too seriously. So I'd really give credit to my not my parents, but like my current school that I'm at for enforcing these values they preach to us every day. Um, what it is to be a man, and then how to get it done in the classroom. Has really been like my biggest like stress, outside of football, is just to try to get it done, so one day I can play on Saturdays. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would say hearing you describe that sounds a lot like the message that Bob Chesney and this coaching staff consistently preaches. They're a program that obviously values winning and success in the football field, but really a hallmark of who they are is their values that they place on being a well-rounded person.
Right.
Talk to your interactions with this coaching staff and how that seems to align with who you are, not only as a person, but where you're coming at this from looking for a well-rounded experience.
Yeah, I'd say there's a few reasons on why the coaching staff was such a great fit. Like you said, Chesney and the rest of his staff are just, first of all, great people. When being around the team, when being around the coaching staff, it just felt like a family. I felt like I was in good arms. And that's not only important for me, but, for my parents, seeing that, they were like, I know when you go here, you're going to be in good arms. So to hear that from them was also important. But also, only have been playing linebacker for so long. I've been at so many other positions: quarterback, corner, safety. Um, that to know I'm going to be developed in that specific position at linebacker and be able to grow into something special under the coaching staff is really special. So those were kind of the two reasons on why I felt like a great fit.
So take us inside your recruiting process. I would love to know who your recruiting contact was. What was it like when you came down to campus? Just take us kind of inside that experience and what ultimately let you believe that wow, JMU is a special place and that campus is a place you could see yourself being not only an athlete but as well as a student.
Right. Well, I've always been a fan of JMU, just like watching them, grow through the CAA, go to the FBS level. So I've always been like in their corner. So, as recruits do, they have to go to these recruiting camps, especially as I was a relatively under recruited guy for a while. Um, so I picked, JMU as a camp. And it's like, hey, let's just go. like in February, I was like, hey, I want this to be one of my camps. This would be, if I got this opportunity, I think it's something I'd take. Um, Time goes by. I happen to be at Rutgers. Coach Hitch, defense coordinator, happens to be there. He sees me, sends some clips to Coach Plungus, the linebackers coach. And, from there, they're like, they started giving me calls. They're like, hey, we see you're signed up for our camp. We're excited to have you here. Um, got to the camp, performed well, called me back next week, and we're like, hey, we think we're going to bring you on our official visit as our last linebacker recruit. So it really happened fast, in terms of relations at JMU and the whole process. But I think that just goes to show how good of a coaching staff they are, how good of a program it is. The fact that, in a span of 3 weeks, I didn't have an offer.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking to any coaches, but then it was just like bang, 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 and now we're here.
So you mentioned you've been a fan of JMU, and I'm not surprised to hear that just because of the strong connection that the state of Pennsylvania has really had to this program over really over the last decade. We've seen a pipeline of prospects coming to Harrisonburg. Talk about the familiarity with prospects in Pennsylvania with JMU football, because from what I've heard from other prospects is it's not just football players. There's a lot of students who are also going to JMU from the state of PA, and why that makes you feel so comfortable about making the trip down 81 into Harrisonburg.
Right. Well, to start, I have family in Virginia. I have some cousins, some aunts and uncles. So being down there, knowing I'd have some people to be around, some family to be around, was nice. But also the fact that, like, I get to play big time football only 4 hours from my house.
Yeah.
Family can come watch. Um, you know, Aunts, uncles. My dad has always been like someone I've wanted to impress, and want him to see me grow in my football journey. So the fact that they'll be able to come to games is huge. But yeah, there's always been, out of the Interac, out of my league, we've had about 3 guys go to JMU over the past few years, and they were pretty good. So, you see the level of competition that they're bringing in and getting to play against. So you're like, hey, I can go do that. So,
That's
yeah.
awesome. So I've asked every prospect this. Take us inside the group chats, because that's been something that everyone has kind of pointed out as a part of this process. How much fun it's been to keep adding new prospects into the fold, and you guys are encouraging each other. And I think it's really cool because you're all going through the same sort
Mhm.
of thing. You're different people, different players, different prospects from different parts of the country, but you've all navigated what can be a challenging recruiting process at times, a stressful recruiting process at times. And now you're at the point of the process where you're getting to have a little bit of fun because you've all signed on to the same program. And now you're starting to turn your attention to your senior seasons. It's got to be
Right.
pretty cool.
No, it definitely is pretty cool. I just got added to the group chat. So I'm relatively new in the group chat, but just the fact that there is a group chat
Yeah.
shows how guys are ready to go, and then that gets me fired up. The amount of guys that are in it too, shows how they're really trying to grow the program, with high
Yeah.
schoolers, and the amount of guys they're bringing in to make a promise to stay here and play for something special. So um, yeah, the guys are definitely getting me fired up. It sounds like we got a good group coming in with a lot of energy, so it's exciting.
And I have to ask, when you commit to a college football program like JMU, that I will say is known for having a loud and engaged fan base, especially on
Mhm.
programs like Twitter and Instagram. What's that like when your comments start blowing up and you start seeing, you probably had a couple of hundred notifications from people like us reaching out as well? It's got to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, my Twitter did seem to blow up last night, when I seemed to make things official on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, it's just like everyone is in my corner, it feels like, and then, even, announcing it to my family and to, the neighborhood almost, the amount of people who had like ties to the place and were like, oh, you know, you're going to love it. It's going to be great. So, just hearing that feedback from everyone makes me even feel better about my decision.
That's awesome. Well, Matt, you've mentioned family a couple times
Mhm.
throughout the course of this interview, and I want to give you an opportunity to recognize not only your family, who's played obviously a huge role in your development as a person and as a prospect, but any coaches or anybody else that's been in your corner that's helped you reach this point.
Yeah, I would definitely say, some of the biggest people to help me get here are definitely my head coach, Coach Martin. Um, without him, I wouldn't really have this opportunity. He kind of gave me this opportunity at this new school to, you know, be on the platform that all these, big time recruits are playing on, then I was able to punch my ticket to JMU. And I thank him for that. But then also, yeah, my family, my parents, big time football family. Dad played in the NFL, uncle played in the NFL. I had three uncles play linebacker at Delaware. So, to be the next one in the family to go play at this level is exciting.
Well, I have to ask you that. I didn't know that. So you've had quite the connections to a former CA rival for JMU.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any jabs from the family members at Delaware saying like, "Hey, man, this is a rival"? Because I mean, some of my favorite games all time between JMU were
Mhm.
games against Delaware. When the
Yeah.
2004 national championship game, we win in pretty dramatic fashion on a punt return that kind of started JMU's next chapter of success as a program. Any fun back and forth between family members, or are they all just pretty excited for you to sign up with JMU?
There was a little bit, but they were like, "Hey, man, JMU would probably knock Delaware out the water right now." So they were pretty
That's what
excited.
I like
They
to hear.
they knew where I was going, and they were happy for me.
That's awesome. Well, I will also ask it. So, what have you learned? Obviously, from your father, your uncles, who have gone through the experience of not only the pro side, but the recruitment game, and knowing what it takes to be a successful college football player. I'm sure that's been invaluable to your development as you're able to pick their brains and kind of learn from their experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like truly blessed to just have those resources, in my house, and just call up like my uncles and ask them questions. But they just taught me how to be patient, stay the road. You know, Recruiting these days can be so stressful, and you know, seeing other guys get all these offers, and you're kind of like, hey, like, where's mine? To just be patient and know the right fit is coming was huge. And I think my dad for just trying to keep me grounded and reassuring me that the best is yet to come.
Awesome. Well, Matthew, to give fans of JMU football a little bit of insight into who you are as a player, what is your game, and what can we look forward to seeing? As you go throughout your senior season and you make your transition to JMU football.
Yeah, so right now 6'2", 205. So a lot of people might say, hey, he has the height, but he needs the weight. So just this off season, for my high school season, and then in the winter leading up to when I'll be on campus. I'm just going to be gaining weight, trying to put on more weight, and definitely working on my strength. But I have a unique skill set. I can run. Um, I'm really good at covering backs, covering slot receivers. So, my versatility will definitely be a key part to this defense, being able to play on passing downs, being able to come off the edge, not always being just a stiff, gap filler. But, I'm excited to, uh, showcase my versatility and athleticism on the field.
That's exciting. So, when you see this defense and the way they play, what excites you about this coaching staff's approach to a scheme and defense, and why you're such a good fit for this?
Um, I the first thing that like drew my attention, is definitely the coaches' enthusiasm and their practices. Just being at the camp and kind of getting a little insight to how they coach was huge. To just see that energy and to see how they coach. And then it was the same on my official visit. They had the same type of energy. So to know they were truly, being authentic with that energy that they brought to practice and to game days, and then you turn on the tape, it's the same energy. Is like, wow, like that's I want to be part of that. But yeah, and then the scheme, they're they run out of a 4-2-5, so that's like their base. And I'd be that field side backer, so being able to play in space, cover, but also be able to come down and make a tackle. That's my game right there. So that definitely opened up my eyes.
That's awesome. Now, Matt, take us inside your preparations for your senior season. It's got to be exciting. One more go around at a school like the Haverford School, and getting, as you said, to play with so many great prospects and a great program. I'm sure you're well underway for getting ready for that campaign.
Yeah, I got a lift here later today. So I'll be back. I've been on the road, just at camps. I had my visit over
Yeah.
the weekend, so I really haven't been in. But we said, as a team, hey, July comes around. We're gonna be in the weight room. We're gonna be on the field, and we're gonna be doing everything we can to go 10-0 and get this league championship. So it's exciting. I know where I'm going. And now it's just time to bring it home here.
That's exciting. Well, give you one last chance to say anything you'd like to the JMU fan base who's going to be watching you as you go throughout your senior season. It's an exciting time. What's your final message to fans?
Man, JMU, I'm coming. I'm excited, and big things are coming.
Awesome. Well, Matthew, congratulations again. Congratulations to your entire family, your coaching staff, everyone who's helped you get to this point. I know it's an exciting time. We're going to wish you tons of health, tons of success in your senior season, and we can't wait to see you down at Bridgeport Stadium soon. Are you going to be able to make it to any games this year, you think?
We play on Saturdays, but I think we're gonna try, especially
Okay.
if it's a night game. We're gonna get down there one way or another.
There you go. Awesome. Well, congratulations again. And I know we'll talk to you soon. But fans, as we say, every one of these conversations, this is what it's all about. You get a chance to see the people behind the players and who they are off the field. And it's an exciting time for JMU football. And as we end every one of these conversations, go Dukes and stay tuned over the days to come for more profiles in the class of 2026.